Welcome to another episode of Primo Talks. When it comes to life, you got to have those people around you who have those gifts and talents like you have in order for you to implement those things, so you know that the things that you're doing is moving you towards those goals, those dreams, those realities that you saw in your life. This is not the time for you to take a step back. It's a time for you to be teleported. This is a place where you can actually get the information that you need that you can implement today. Let's talk. Welcome back to another Primo's Talk. If you never liked, subscribed, or followed our channel, I'd like to go ahead and ask you right now to support our channel by hitting the bell icon. That way you can get all the latest content that we put up here at CFS Studios. Another thing I want to also talk about is some of the things that we have on our store. The things that we have in our store just don't help us promote our channel, but it also contributes to you being a follower and knowing that clarity over chaos is important. We also got the 2 wise men, so don't forget to check out our store. Today we're going to dive into a lot more content. If you haven't watched Monday and Wednesday episode, I definitely suggest that you watch that. Today we're going to go and look at the recessions and the market crashes and how long they lasted. This gives you a little bit of layers, because remember, when we're talking about knowledge is a collection of truths. So let's jump right into it. Look at the collection of truth so you can get an idea of how to take advantage of a market recession, because we're about to have a financial conversation. The top 10 market crashes in U.S. history. This is part 1, guys. There's going to be a second video, which is part 2. We're going to break it up into 2 parts, give you an opportunity to digest it so we don't shoot a 30-minute video. COVID is number 10 on the list. As you all know, if you're living today, we went through COVID. Now, the COVID pandemic actually ran this way. COVID pandemic number 10 was February 19th of 2020 to March 23rd of 2022. The market dropped 34%. It lasted 33 days. Now, I know many of you going to say, well, it was over a year we was in lockdown. Some of you was even almost 2 years on lockdown, depending upon what city you lived in. But the market crash only lasted 33 days. The reason for that, because after that 33 days, you've seen a decline of 34% in the market. The market began to take off. Next, number 9, computer trading was August 25th, 1987 to October 19th, 1987. The market dropped 36% and it lasted 57 days. 33 days doing COVID pandemic, COVID-19, 57 days back doing computer trading. Notice we're seeing a parallel between this 30, once it hits around that 30%, we start seeing that these are considered market crashes. Let's continue. Number 8, World War II crash, October 1939 to April 28 of 1942. The market dropped 38%, lasted 32 months. Now this was almost 3 years, because 3 years would be 36. This buttered up 4 months short of being 3 years. This market crash was back in 1939 to 1942, and that was the World War II crash. This is when we've seen a 38% drop in the market, and that 38% falls right in the guidance here when you start to see these market crashes. Number 7, the dot-com bubble plus 9/11. That's important. It was the dot-com bubble back in the early 2000s and the 9/11 attacks. That took place on March 10th of 2000, and it lasted through October the 2nd of 2002. Market dropped 38.8% and lasted 27 months. We're starting to see these parallels. This here early on, the recent one we had was COVID-19, 33 days. We go back into the 87, it was 57 days, and then we look back and we get an idea back in 1939 to 1942, 32 months. We see this one in 2000, what we mostly talk about the dot-com bubble, but it was a combination of the dot-com bubble plus 9/11, which caused what? A lasting of 27 months and a 38.8%. And then we go back in some time in history. Most of us were not born during this time. However, the facts of it is going to be very accurate. The Panic of 1907. This lasted January of 1907 to November of 1907. The market dropped 40%. 0.4 and lasted 11 months. Now you may say to yourself, okay, if the market crashes, which we're getting ready, we're in a recession now, the market crash, we're about to see the decline, and you're going to see that that decline is going to be important because we saw a short crash. And I've always told people, back during the COVID pandemic, especially in that period between that February 19th to March 23rd, I said we had a market crash. You maybe even remember what it said. Oil future prices went to zero as far as the commodity prices. Recently, you'll notice that happened in this month. This month, in June, what took place? You see a situation where Bitcoin crashed and it dropped over 30%. Because of that, Bitcoin went from in its 30s all the way down to 9,000. Recovered by the end of the day and went to 24. But that's a market. That's a market crash. What was the duration? Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet because right now you check it out. It hasn't went back above 30. Some people bought it at the high of 46,000 per coin. And to see you pay something for $46,000 that dropped all the way down to 9, you definitely gonna be affected. The reason that this is important because you can now position yourself for the next bull market. So you need to be very careful what you're doing right now. We all know that we in inflation. We understand that if you yourself right now are still partying up, you out there doing your thing, you out there consuming, clothes shopping, makeup shopping, shoe shopping, you're doing these things right now, it's costing you more. The more money you're spending, so I mean, it was a time when you can go out and you can spend $100, you got $100 worth of food, your cart was pretty much full. Now you can spend $100 and you can see half your cart, a third of your cart may be full. I mean, just going and just getting anything. And if you throw any type of alcohol beverage or a weekend snack because we're getting ready to go back into, the football season, oh my goodness. You're talking about in an inflationary period, that $100 doesn't get a whole lot these days. But you need to know so that you can make an informed decision when you look at these market situations and these crashes. It gives you the chance to see because after 33 days, and that was our most recent one, was in 2020, the market took off. A lot of money was made. A lot of fake millionaires too. What I mean by millionaires, because right now with this inflationary period, they're not millionaires no more. So it didn't last that long. But it was a lot of money made right here. 33 days. We go all the way back to 1987. August 25th to 1957 days. And then we go back into this. And I believe in my heart, and I say this because this right now may be a one-sided pancake, which is this is my perspective. When you hear me say one-sided pancake, it means I'm looking at one side. But, truths knowledge has a collection of truths. I'm believing that it's going to be a combination right now, the recession that we're in will be a combination of the pandemic of COVID and the dot-com. Now, also, I want to just let you know, I'm going to add one more thing. In part 2, we're going to talk about the mortgage crisis. I believe we're going to have we're going to have something like the pandemic, a very sharp dip. Then on top of that, because we're already in a recession, guys, we had 2 consecutive quarters of low GDP growth. And then we're going to also have the dot-com bubble. So it's going to be a combination of the COVID pandemic, the dot-com bubble, plus 9/11, and plus the mortgage crisis is about to get hit. You're now seeing that interest rates went up. So if you was buying a house before, you was getting anywhere between two and a quarter up to about 2.99. But when we're just talking about during the COVID time because of the crash that took place here, now you hear that they just raised rates 0.75%. What does that mean? That means you're looking at 5% or more. What does that mean in interest? Almost $60,000 to $70,000 you're gonna pay more for a house than you would have paid just a couple of months ago. I mean, that is a tremendous lot of money. And it also priced people out of buying a house. That's another thing. Individual who could afford a house around the 2 to 4.5 cannot afford it at 5. So many Americans just lost the opportunity to buy a home. I'll see you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell icon to get the latest content, and check out part 2 that's coming up next.